Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of We Shot First. The gladiator arena has fallen silent, gentlemen. Some old men suffering from post-traumatic stress and visions that DM imposes on him. Some from deceleration trauma, whether he dropped out of the sky in his jetpack or just got blown up. Some people took an axe to the face. It's kind of poetic force symmetry, Poser, how you threatened Warwick with an axe and chopped at him at that building back before you brought here, and you were brought here to suffer a triple axe fate. 3 Gormorian brothers chopped the shit out of you. That was brutal. I mean, I wanted to give Joe force points and reward, but it wasn't really his character. Down you went. And amongst it all, we forgot something very, very, very vital. 2 men who helped the party, who run the party, are watching from the balcony, looking for the droid's advantage, looking for that radar through Leth, and making deals. Zen placing bets, and then later on, Matt making more bets with Darga the Hutt. And there it is. Poser goes down, and Darga offers to call it off if Matt loses the bet on the spot. And he said no. He said Poser knows the risks, and he wanted to play it out. But he lost anyway. And he might have lost the respect of our good doctor, who gave him some lip, and now is trudging off back down to the locker room to help those poor schmoes who are badly wounded. So, dark side point, I say. Yes, dark side point is owed to you, Rahal. How many do you have now? How many you got now?
2. I have 2 dark side points.
And
10 to go.
Oh, wisdom score of 10. The average man.
No. 12.
Oh, okay.
So 2, then 10 to go.
Okay. Well, average intelligence, wisdom, 9 to 10. So, yeah, 10 to 12. Okay. Just average guy. Yeah. Shall we do a wisdom counter round? I'm just curious. Poser, what's your wisdom score? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, Jeff, what's your wisdom score?
The GM is as high and usually as low as it needs to be, depending on situation.
Fair enough.
There's a dash bar there. 16? Okay.
Yes. So I have 15.5 to go.
Yeah. It's skirting that edge, though. And some of your force powers, apparently some of your force powers won't work if you DP up. Is that right? Sorry, DSP. DSP, not DP. DSP, Dark Side Point, as I'd found on Reddit and corrected. J. Dr. Leth.
Oh, that would be a wisdom of 14, if you were to put a numerical value to it.
The scene comes to you. Darga's audience chamber. You briskly leaving, taking the stairs down to the locker room where people are being carried, droid scoops, Uba, those types of medical droids, scooping up babies as well as Merrick's and stuff, bringing them in for you to work on. And I noticed that you got a little bit lippy with is Rahal our leader? Is he your leader? I kind of felt there's a sort of a Raceland Tanis thing going on with you where you're following the party because they're a means to your end. Maybe it's time we start exploring Dr. Leth's motivations. It was obvious you were upset with him. I mean, he was gambling on a party life, and very mercenary of Rahal just kind of went, meh. He knew what he was getting into. Do you know what you're getting into? This conflict that arises with Rahal.
I certainly thought I did. It would be nice to avoid utilizing people simply for their physical being or their convenience.
You've been a library, a lean-on shoulder, a last-minute piece of advice for Rahal himself when the party was disputed over actions. But are you the rock that you make out you are on the outside, on the inside? Do you care so much? Does this conflict bother you? I'd like to go back into a past that we have yet to really explore. I want to go all the way back to Arcadia, when a younger Dr. Leth was finishing doctorate after doctorate, when another confrontation, shall we say, occurred. We're turning the clock back several years, a time when the Empire was fortunate enough to be at the doorstep of Arcadia when it finally, diplomacy, Senate, it finally decided to let in the outside galaxy to benefit from its science, its knowledge, and there was the Empire. The Empire took Arcadia in a matter of days, it says in the history books. But those few days leading up to it is where I want to take you now. Picture our Aska Leth. Hadn't chosen the title of doctor yet, possibly had earned it or not. He's got family, he's got friends, he's got academic rivals, and he's graduated, and the family knows the Empire's coming, and they have a plan. But not everybody is down with this plan. The scene descends down through the atmosphere of the planet Arcadia to one of the more busy metropolises, specifically dead center of town, a favorite eatery of the young Askaleth, who just paid his bill and spent his lunch in turmoil, turning over thoughts of his next move, recently graduated, and coming to terms with facing his family with an important decision.
Grab my coat. Wear my coat. It's certainly very cold in this area. And perhaps I'll go look over the crystal mines. Certainly a reminder of our past will be helpful at this point in time. And then I go and start to leave and start walking down the street. There are many, many things that I could do for research on my own, and I don't need the Imperial funding. To be perfectly honest, the university is just fine itself. Besides that, there are materials at the university that aren't included, not available elsewhere on this planet. I honestly don't know why you keep insisting that I work with imbeciles. It may be beneficial to me to join my own. Certainly I don't want to be guided. Most definitely I'm not interested in developing war machines, as seems to be the pattern for our race.
Stopping at a street corner, young Askaleth decides to rent personal transport, and boarding remains quiet to his own thoughts for the trip home. Hours later, his family celebrating with many of the rich and powerful families in the city, the coming prospects of joining with this new empire in discovery for science and wealth. The scene draws to an upper level, to a private bedchamber, where young Askaleth, this time agitated enough that he finds himself muttering his thoughts aloud.
Well, that is certainly enough noise as it is. And listening to all this kerfuffle and the tinkling of the wine and the pouring and the guffawing, I certainly would much rather be elsewhere. Really, I don't know why they insist on talking to the military. It doesn't make any difference to us whatsoever. But here we go again. Well, no, perhaps not. Certainly, there are bound to be more educationally inclined races besides our own and else in the universe, the galaxy. And perhaps we can fix some of our shortcomings. Yeah, perhaps I'll leave. And I begin packing. What is it? Can I help? Well, what am I needed for? Is there anyone there?
The private chamber door swings open to reveal a young Arcadian woman around the same age as Askaleth, talking to the remnants of the party that have spilled out to other rooms as well as upstairs to the balcony outside Leth's chamber.
Yes. Quite. No, just one moment. No, I'd love to hear the way you enslaved that lower minor race and that far off, tiny, petulant little planet. But could you just give me one moment? I have a family crisis. Turning towards Dr. Leth and shuts the door. And why did you decide to leave in the middle of the toast?
Well, obviously I'm not needed or necessary. Father seems to have obtained his funding.
Yes, And with that funding, you and I, brother, will do great, great things for the Empire.
I don't believe that. I must say, I do think I'm meant for much more than simply creating viral weaponry or genetic targeting systems and various other such things. I do not necessarily purport to the superiority of the Corellians, I suppose, or even our own race for that matter. Certainly it was proven in the past that we were not exactly as omnipotent as we had believed.
Because they were fools. They didn't do it right the first time. We learn from their mistakes. Brother, we do not forget the history. We continue with their work. We continue with our own work. We strive for greatness, and we will achieve it. As a family.
We have yet to build our ancient libraries. We refuse to go back on our own history. We focus so much on our own superiority and our own genetic manipulations histories and our own scientific advancement that we refuse to examine the other races in the nation. Certainly it would explain why we decided, instead of relying upon other species in the universe, to simply genetically take whatever we need, we deem necessary, to integrate it into our own species. Creating our own species we believe is sub. It's ridiculous. I'd much rather find a more productive manner of research.
And what do you propose?
Well, to begin, I propose that we open our doors, and yet at the same time I suppose we have, and that's caused the problem. Oh, the difficulty. Well, nevertheless, I must feel this out for myself, I suppose. Hence my departure.
And what do you plan on doing? Simply wandering the galaxy, trying to find your, I don't know, ultimate purpose or something?
I certainly do not think I'd need an ultimate purpose. But perhaps something I can use to round out the collection of the vast collection of knowledge that we as a species have already gathered. Perhaps even share some of it to those that need it. Certainly, it makes for a more interesting, how would you say, development of the species of the galaxy if both sides have access to full information. Of course, now I sound like a spy, don't I?
Yes, quite the traitor.
All the more reason to leave. I suppose we're not entirely traitors yet.
If you leave, you will be.
It doesn't really matter. Anyone that's not on this planet at some point, whether they work for the Empire or not, will still be a traitor. Don't you see that, sister?
Well, I see possibilities. And I also can acquire transport if anything happens to go the other way.
Oh, that to me feels like reactionary principles. I personally would much rather be proactive. I would rather find a union, find any form of union between different races and beings. Certainly, our race had found one answer to union, but nevertheless, there may be others.
Union? Vile natural consequences of species mating.
I feel like that may be oversimplifying it. At the very least, perhaps interspecies relations would be a better way of explaining it. The union doesn't necessarily always have to be corporeal in nature. There are spiritual unions, there are companionships. History certainly has proven that these tend to be more significant than superiority of the genes or genetic manipulation or any other form of scientific innovation that we've developed so far. Perhaps we can use some of it.
Really? In these great times, in scientific discovery, whether it be used for that side or this side, our side, well, always our side, but nevertheless, no matter who we sell it to or purpose in which we search for this information, it is still progress.
Well, for me, I see that as the simple way out. Science is about discovery, not mechanization or weaponization. Perhaps I shall adopt the stance of a doctor. Now then, sister, bear witness to my Hippocratic oath.
What you speak of just sounds so
No, but that's
primitive.
it, sister. Are you listening?
Oh,
the
I'm
Empire is not asking for research for the research's sake. The Empire is asking for research for their sake. Research for conquest. They don't care about different species. They don't care about the implications and the power that can be formed between different bonds and different species. They only want weaponry. They only want the power of our technology. And frankly, that technology can change and become extremely volatile at the moment's notice. The Empire will learn that soon. There was a time when this planet was a base for the Sith. I do hope you don't fall to the same fate.
Oh, save the preaching.
Now, if you excuse me, I'm finished packing.
Fine.
Farewell, sister.
Just get out.
Dr. Leth, finally shaking these thoughts from your mind, perhaps your recent conflict with your leader triggered them, you come down into the locker room where they have laid out both Merrick and Poser, and you see Old Man's in a corner, just kind of waving you away, obviously, like he's still conscious and wants you to, see to the guys that need to it himself. He's kind of patching himself up, and he's gives you that grim nod, like they're, he's probably checked their pulse and they're both still breathing, but he's really out of it. The man looks pale, and this is a guy who's like tan, like he's an outdoorsman all the time. And there's sort of a dullness in his amber eyes that are usually alight with mischief and fire. He seems very shaken, and he doesn't look you in the eye. But there's no time for that. Moving to the first patient, Merrick, Poser, Dr. Leth, what do you do?
Well, I will take a quick little scan of the room using my medical visor.
Okay.
Looking to see.
Sorry, go ahead.
Looking to see just if there is anyone that needs immediate treatment or anyone that will need more in-depth treatment.
Okay.
I can't exactly. This isn't exactly the facilities for a surgery.
Your scanner shows you that they are both stable, but it's sort of a willpower. Players using force points, cheating. As far as I can say. They could slip back into critical at any minute. Like I said, this is not the place to treat them if you want to move them, but that could also be bad because you'd have to. They use planks and droids, and you know what I mean? Or they just carry guys' shoulders and legs, and they'll throw, you have that speeder, but getting them out to the ship, it's, the bumping and the stuff might start bleeding, whatever now there is the bed chambers downstairs, but starting with what you can do here.
For now, the best option would be to, I'll check Merrick to make sure that if there's anything I can do at the moment, just to stabilize him.
Okay.
But I doubt there's much I can do. He certainly looks like he took quite the fall.
I don't remember. I don't think he fell. I think he came down and then got taken out with boots on the ground. Of course, you were constantly checking for those radio scanners and stuff, so you might have missed a little bit of it. But you saw a Poser brutally being chopped, like on the ground, and then stopped. You know what I mean? But just so that you don't miss something, like going for the obvious choice, Poser, just so you don't miss something internal, like, oh my God, it could get worse. The scanner tells you that technically, I believe Merrick is in more stable or better condition than Poser is at the moment.
Okay, in that case, then I would move over to Poser. I'm wondering, did I give you a secondary treatment before? I think I may have.
Merrick did a mono-y-mono and needed patching, and then went back out there. Poser was clean and went out into this battle, and I think he only suffered some minor injuries from the droid battle out in the warehouse, from the droids and the goons, possibly.
Yes, but I don't know if I've used a med pack on him once today or not.
I believe so. There's probably been second wins in the whole bit all around. At the point now, though,
once is fine, but twice is the problem. I'm quite certain I've used 2 med packs on Merrick.
Well, there's always that drug you've been researching. Remember, you juiced good old Merrick, so you could get that second.
I certainly did give the juice to Merrick. At this point, I'm wondering if I can do it. Give it to Poser.
He's not the Rocky Mountain Man that.
I don't think I've used it twice on him so far today, so...
Well, give me some knowledge life sciences here. Let's start there.
Certainly. Knowledge life science roll of 18.
On a scale of 3 to 18, let's say, Aiden, whereabouts would your health fly on a scale of 3d6? I mean, 3 to 18.
-5.
You have a -5 constitution?
Oh, constitution.
Get it? 3 to 18? Work with me here.
Oh,
3d6.
sorry,
No,
no.
3d6
11.
rolling, too old school for you. 11.
Yes, it is a little too old school for me. Sorry, Jeff.
Okay.
I grew up on Point By.
He's not frail by any means, but he's not like extra tough. He's as healthy as your average guy.
Okay. Well, the biggest thing I was looking at earlier was, usually often when someone takes a large amount of damage, they get their body can fight off the pain, and they can generally tend to either, if not regain consciousness, at the very least stabilize themselves. You said that they're both stable?
Yes, we force pointed up and they've become stable, but I have yet to have them regain consciousness.
Okay.
Now they are like moaning and rolling about. You know what I mean? Like if they are conscious at this point, they're really out of it.
I was just getting at if you fail a Constitution check to regain consciousness, your condition becomes persistent, which means you can't heal damage naturally, which means I need to do surgery and or long-term care.
Okay. Now, if a force point automatically stabilizes you, do we still have to do that con check?
You aren't regaining consciousness yet. You're just stable.
Okay, so let's have that. You had the good doctor.
Is it a flat Constitution check or Fortitude?
It just says Constitution check.
So your
Okay.
D20 plus con bonus, which for you is Zippo, right?
Yep. Con check of 13.
Yes, that would be... You're starting to regain consciousness. You are still very much out of it, but nevertheless, your condition is not persistent.
Okay. So, Leth, you're looking him over. He's got a terrible, terrible gash that you can see at the top of his shoulder, and just rolling him ever so slightly, you can see how it's soaked through clothes and everything. It's probably the nastiest thing you need to worry about for infection, because they were literally chopping him with vibroblades. Now, the good thing about a vibroblade is because it's a keen edge that's vibrating, it is a clean slice. But then being dragged around the dirt, put on napkin, that kind of thing. It's the dirty floorboards in the locker room. It's like, this is not a sterile, I'm not saying it's bad as that cantina you refused to drink at earlier, but not ideal. But he's not bleeding.
In that case, then...
The bleeding has stopped. He's stabilized, or he's you got that slow, oh, look, you're bleeding, as opposed to like a spurt, con damage.
In that case, I do believe I will need to move him back to the ship.
Okay. Now, did you want to, for safety's sake, juice him?
Assuming I can. I don't believe I've used it twice, so I should be able to.
Okay. Yes, Rahul, you have a question? No? You're sitting there with your hand up. You're just stretching.
Nope.
Okay.
Just holding this by the window.
Okay. The reason I was asking was because you guys are on comms. So if you were like, hey, Doc, how's it going? Or, they okay, gives you the silent treatment.
I don't think the doc really wants to hear from me right now.
Gives you the silent treatment anyway.
That would result in me turning off my comms.
Yes.
Could be unfortunate. At any rate, here's a healing check for Rahul of 31, which should certainly put you well into the positives for now.
Wonderful. Okay, so he jabs you with a couple of drugs, asks you to take 2 of these, daintily whispers to call him now and say his name as opposed to in the morning. And when you feel that you've been groped and spun and turned over enough, you just kind of you get that adrenaline.
All right. I sit up suddenly.
Now sit down.
Oh.
Why are you sitting up? Lie back down.
Fine, Doc. It happened. Last thing I remember.
Well, by the looks of it, you took 2 vibro axes to the side of the neck.
Oh, well. That explains the blood.
It usually does. Now, excuse me.
Last thing you remember, a couple of Gamorreans used something called battlefield tactics. Kind of alien to this party, but we're studying and pursuing in the future. Dr. Leth?
Now, as for Merrick, it's been too much. I don't think I could even treat him here. Let alone the med packs. They would not be sufficient. He's got too much in his system already.
Do you want to risk moving him?
I may have to.
Will he make it, Doctor?
Oh, he certainly will make it.
Some concerned, locker room Nemodian hanging around, like one of the servants or whatever. Will he make it, Doctor?
He will make it. Just get me one of those droids, the medical droids. I need some assistance in moving him. He's a little bit beyond my own weight capacity.
So, have you guys seen the droids that actually look like a skiff? It's like a torso and the front of it, there's no legs, it's just like a big paddle that sticks out. And I'm not talking about the Uba droid that has like a hand paddle for babies. I'm talking about where the hips are. It's like a
repulsor droid.
Yeah, it's like a surfboard coming out the front of this thing, right? So they go get one of those, and they put him on it. But it's not operating under its own power. The repulsor is broke. So 2 guys lift the whole droid with Merrick on it. And this droid is kind of assisting because the repulsor is trying to fire, and the droid's working, and it's like, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna... Okay. You know, and they just drop it out, and it's like, okay, they get more guys. You know, he's a huge dude, and they go off, you know, out of the locker room. Where do you want them to take him?
Well, I need them to take him back to the ship, which, if I can get them outside, Arthur, I need you to bring the ship as close to this location as possible.
No answer.
Is it
Call
the
again?
signal?
Call again? No, you should be able to reach him. Step
Call
right out
again,
to the gladiator.
Arthur?
Yeah. Come out of the locker room, step right out into the open gladiator pit, you know, open air.
R4.
Beep, bop, bop. Beep, bop. Here.
It's about time. I need you to bring the ship as close to this location as possible.
Why?
Because I told you to? Also, there needs a medical treatment.
I'm sorry. I've been demoted. I'm no longer the pilot.
Unfortunately, I don't believe you ever were the pilot. Much to both of our chagrin.
He beeps in shock. You swear there's some kind of binary version of, I think you've heard him.
For what it's worth, our research is significantly more important than piloting a ship. But you can do so now.
Why don't you get your research to pilot the ship?
I'm working on it.
Why don't you get the new alien to pilot your ship?
New alien?
Yes. Designation Haas. The sleeper. Rahal
Well-
made him the pilot.
As far as I'm aware, he is asleep. Also, I have no idea who he is.
He's unconscious at the moment.
And please keep him that way.
Big pause. Arthur's acting a little weird.
Arthur, the ship.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, Rahal, how are you feeling? Lift your arms for me.
Rahal, upstairs in your suit, you
What's
I think poser is the name. It just does it.
That is certainly entertaining, but
He
no,
knocks a
never
drink
mind.
tray flying from some servant coming too close to him. It's just like, the doctor doesn't have to do this. He really believes in your medical experience and expertise, Dan. It's like, the guy's like 2 rooms away. You just hear crashing trays upstairs.
Well, apparently his arms still work. Excuse me, sorry, I'm speaking to the wrong person. Poser,
Doc.
check your movement, please. Do not sit up yet. Just move your arms up and down. In front of you to the bottom.
Nurse Nemodian says, Doctor, will you make it? Will he be okay? And you were asking for moving.
I'll slowly raise both my arms up, kind of doing the full 360 forward and then backward, checking all the angles, grunting as it pulls on my back wound.
Well, you may certainly notice more of that as the muscles begin to settle. The cuts ended up splitting quite a bit of the shoulder muscle and tendons. That will
Right.
certainly be fun. I would recommend, if you are getting into a combat, I would definitely recommend as simple movements as possible. Perhaps finally a pistol would be convenient for you. I would recommend practicing your aim.
Yeah, what?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
Thanks.
You're going to make it, but here's a gun just in case you don't? What?
No. He's going to make it perfectly fine. I just meant that for the next little while, the movements in his arm will be even more erratic.
Sorry, I moved off the mic for like 2 seconds, and it was like, well, here's a pistol. What?
Oh, no. I wasn't giving him a pistol. I was saying that he should perhaps practice his aim.
That would be funny. He's lying on a table, just shooting at the ceiling like those guys who get bored, throw pencils up into things. He's got a blaster pistol. He's just pinging at bugs and things. Wanted him to work on this. All right. So you want them to like carry Merrick out to the car? Or no, you want the ship here.
I want the ship as close to this location as possible.
All right. So
And I will, after quickly checking on him on Poser, I will run up to catch up with the
the moving Merrick on the move.
EMT squad.
Okay. So Poser left alone. He says he'll be back for you.
Doc, you can't feel my legs.
Oh no.
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Oh God, that's so bad.
I'm sorry.
You see him like, it's not like what you think where he can't actually have sensation in his legs. He's just like reaching forward and can't touch them. You know,
Oh, it's just the medication. You'll be fine in an hour.
like the dentist, you get all flabby. All right.
Thanks, Doc.
Not touching
Just a
that,
bit of
dude.
Side effect to the notes, though. Thank you for that particular piece of information. I will make sure to include that in my calculations for the future renditions of this particular formula.
Anything I can do to help, Doc. Whoopee.
Now go to sleep.
Aye, aye, Capitan.
He's filled you full of painkillers. Must be, because like you do like a little bit of probe, 2 fingers over the shoulder, he said something and you feel like a big gash. He's gotten the old stapler. It's when you woke up, he had just sort of on your side, and he's got the big flush stapler. There you go. And lots and lots and lots of painkillers and antibiotics. There you go. Just pump you so full of that stuff, you're good to go. So it's not hard in your exhaustion to sort of drift in and out of consciousness. But do you really want to go back to sleep? Was the last thing you heard in your sleep real? You suddenly remember the battlefield, how it went down, those pork-like faces, beady eyes glaring at you with toothy tusk delight, chopping away, using your own signature weapon against you with far better accuracy than you've ever, You actually can hear the brothers snorting and laughing in a corner, what's left of them, because somebody, prize gladiators, somebody's like gone out there and, jabbed a med pack, jabbed some drugs, that type of thing. Whether they're 1 man or 2 man down or whatever, someone's Darga's instantly invested in back on their feet, whatever it takes. They're guys, dun, dun, dun. You guys are on your own for own medical attention, and they've removed Merrick out of the room, so maybe you got hurt worse than you.
Okay.
You look over, you see Zin. He's looking at you. And as soon as he sees your gaze, he just looks away and just kind of checks his gear and, seems really out of it. Doc said lie down. You try to go to sleep? You try to get some rest?
I won't try and go to sleep, but I will put myself in a force trance.
Ooh. And how does that work? One of our new powers at this level, yes?
No. It's just it's one of the options on the use the force skill.
I see.
As a full round action, I can enter a force trance with DC 10, use the force check. In the state, I remain fully aware of my surroundings. Each hour I remain in the trance, I regain a number of hit points equal to my character level.
Oh, all right.
I can emerge from it as a swift action.
Okay, so it's like a speed healing. It's a, it will speed up natural healing because you'll go faster than, or as if you were sleeping, full on rest. Yep. So that's great. Okay, so you're ahming away, got your force trance going, and you sense something. You're in a force trance. You're using the force. I'm not saying it makes you susceptible or vulnerable, but you're tuned in. You're plugged in. You got that toe in the pond.
Yep, with a natural 20 for a 34.
Now, someone is using the force, and they're not trying to mask. Help me. Where am I? Help me. And it's a feeling. It's a back of your mind itch more than someone going, hey, can you give me some help? You know what I mean? You feel it's an empathic need, an empathic stress, an empathic state of mind of feeling helpless. And this person desperately desires help because of this overwhelming feeling of helplessness. And now there's more gravity to the feeling. It's an empathic wave that's just rolling out of somewhere. And you tap into your force trance, and it's just stronger now. Much stronger when you were just traipsing around, constantly trying to keep yourself cut off. Much stronger than when you were just doing a force check here and there randomly in orbit or down the plant surface. Down here in the locker room, it's not only stronger, it's a exact direction. It's coming over you in waves. It's almost like, picture yourself lying on the beach, perpendicular to the waves. They're coming at you from your left side. And the water and cool air is washing towards you. And to the right is the hot sand. There's that definite left side cool, red side hot, like you're on that edge. And that force pool, that force trance we described earlier is that edge. And along with the wave, that calm, that ocean, that environment of force trance you put yourself in is this empathic feeling of helplessness and the desperate need for help. Help me. Rahal.
Yeah.
Darga is very, very smug. He won the fight. He took your money. And, I wouldn't say right away, he's like, are you guys going to be okay? But eventually the doctor doesn't emerge from the stairwell. It just, time goes by, and there's that proverbial 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And then 25 minutes in, suddenly a bunch of his guards start freaking out and pointing at the top of the arena, and everyone goes looking back out the balcony and all this stuff. And there's just air pressure blowing, hot repulsor lift air down through into the balcony window, stirring up a big cloud of shit or whatever, and your ship starts descending right into the biggest open space that R4 can find, and he starts landing amongst the 10-foot rocks.
I see potential. And I also see a spaceship in my backyard that I can use to make a quick getaway if everything is going tits up.
Can I have that again, please? Miss Sophisticated. Take it at the tits up. Let's go back to let's go. It's about the spaceship for the getaway. You know, it was very sophisticated.
We'll go the other way. And
What'd you say, Jay?
I said, let's calm the tits, and we'll go the other way.
Oh my god! I just cannot believe you told my daughter to calm her tits in front of her father. That is beautiful. That's poetic. That's funny. That's me. All right.